For October the 1st, 2021, we talk about ICEY, Splitgate, and Fire Emblem Three Houses. Welcome to level 387. My name is Kole Ross.
I'm David Mysmith.
I'm Jala.
And I'm Ben Merkel.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Welcome, everybody. I think we were each of us who was here last week. Yeah,
that's correct. That's two weeks in a row with the same folks.
I know.
Because Dennis is in the sister, and actually, no, he's off on like a wondrous vacation with his family somewhere. So
there are lots of old castles up there in Ireland. I have to imagine that there might be an errant cistern, or maybe
you can take the boy out of the cistern.
Anyway.
Can't take the cistern out of the boy.
Yeah, maybe there is an insufficiently signposted oubliette that he could fall down. Things like that.
I think Dennis has just internalized Uncharted, so I think you're right about the castle. However, I think he's probably like parkouring over it to like punch bad guys and such.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that. Yeah. So I hope that none of this has happened for his kid's sake. But we're here. I'm here. I don't have too much going on. Like even like life stuff has been related to work. So I'm boring. So I'm just going to cede my ground here and say, Ben, what you been up to?
Somebody whose life is absorbed by their work. Sounds like somebody in their 30s. So.
Yep.
Not much. Did some cooking over the weekend. We had a very nice final summer day on Saturday, so I repotted all my plants. I felt very smart because I used chopsticks and a hairband as posts to keep them straight in their new pots. So I felt like a genius, but it's probably whatever. Anyway, the room looks pleasant. I got my money tree I gave to my friend Brian Perk in Portland because they have a giant yard, so it can grow even more there.
Oh, nice.
And it's finally getting into winter now in Seattle, so it's gray and rainy. So I'm trying to come to terms with that.
Oh,
yeah.
So you've had, this will be your third winter there?
Yeah.
Okay.
First one was bad. The second one I knew I was in for, so that went okay. And
that's good.
I'm hoping it goes the same way this year.
Yeah. No, the seasonal effective is kicking my ass so far already. I'm hoping that I find my level, because it's not even that bad. Like it's not that dark, it's not that cold. It's kind of nice here, but I've done everything short of strap my little feel good light to my head.
I was going to suggest that. I got a plant light last year, and I thought that made a huge difference. I don't even face it at the plants anymore. I just face it all around the room, so it's nice and bright.
Yeah. No, so I got one of those, and I'm taking D3 and all of that. So, I hope that the trend line continues for you. Yeah. David, how about you?
I'm bobbing and weaving.
As always.
You say it every week, but I always forget until you say it.
If you didn't say it, we would be so disappointed. We would all be crushed.
I'd be concerned, is what I'd be.
Yeah.
So, I'm working on costumes for Halloween and LARP stuff.
Cool.
So working on bags. I'm playing my race, and the LARP stuff is a cat person, so I'm working on some ears and a tail.
Okay.
I am debating. I really kind of want to just do everything Halloween themed for this coming event.
Okay.
Go for it.
Just orange and black for everything.
Yeah. Orange is a great color.
Yeah. Here's a question. Because I'm not too familiar. Maybe there are different schools of thought on this. So for a cat person, if they have cat ears, do they? This is going to sound like if a snake wore pants would it look like this or look like this? Do they have the two sets of ears, like the regular ears on the side, or is that just a blank spot and the ears are up high? Like what's the help me out here.
So what I normally do is wear some sort of like head wrap or something and cover up my ears.
Okay.
Which also holds the cat ears on when
smart.
I'm, running around being dumb.
Yeah. I suppose if your hair's long enough, it doesn't really matter. Like I can't really see my ears unless I pull it out.
I mean, my hair is also like past my shoulders at this point. So
right.
Are you going to be a cat merchant like in Elder Scrolls?
I am sincerely debate it because the Khajiit are pretty damn awesome.
Just try and like sell people things on the battlefield and everything.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
I have an extra knife for this fight if you got the coin.
Yeah, also one of the big NPCs right now is the current leader of this setting's equivalent of Japan is a cat person.
Okay.
So I love the idea of that there's just samurai cats.
Are they pizza cats?
They are not samurai pizza cats.
I'm very sad.
But, maybe we can introduce that to them.
Oh, that's fun.
But yeah. So I'm probably going to the Spirit Halloween opens on Thursday, so I'm probably going to do a raid then to get supplies.
I never think about a Spirit Halloween having an opening date. I guess I
thought
figured that
just appeared.
I thought it was just like part of a life cycle, kind of like when a whale dies. And it makes an ecosystem for a little bit. Like, it begins life as a circuit city, and then it goes fallow for a while, and the spores take root, and the Spirit Halloween flourishes in its place.
Right.
Yeah.
So the thing I'm really looking forward to for that is part of it. You have to over the course of the weekend, everyone does at least a 2-hour stint playing the monsters.
Okay.
So I really want to get just like a bunch of ears and fangs and I don't know, googly eyes and things like that just to have like costumes. Because like you don't have to dress up like there's basically like a basic tabard that indicates you're a monster rather than a player.
Okay.
But I think it'd be a lot more fun to actually like have some costumey bits.
Of course. Yeah.
So.
To see you can design your encounter and make it work. I think people would appreciate the effort.
Yep.
Nice. Jala, how about you?
So I don't know if you guys are on the up and up about the news about the dictionary, but my name has become an adjective.
Has it now?
What?
Thank you. Yes, I've had several folks in the last, week or so describe things as being Jala.
Okay.
They're very Jala. This is a Jala thing. And I'm like, I am now an adjective.
Okay.
So, I just had to share that little bit of news.
And
insofar as other things are concerned, I have some overlap with Ben in that I was working on some cooking. I've picked up some new recipes from an Instagram account called Vegan Fat Loss Meals. It's just all one word, no weird spaces or dots or anything. And it basically just has a lot of high protein things, not necessarily low calorie, just like stuff that happens to fit the kind of macros I need now that I am switching from bulking to very, very slowly and gently going into a cut and then trying to reintroduce my cardio, which is going to be an absolute joke for a while. So I'll be like trying to run when the weather permits, as it is beginning to rain a lot here.
Yeah.
But It's still hot for the most part. It's not really cold at all. It's like high 80s and cresting 90s. So it's still whatever. But also over the weekend, I did some gardening stuff. I was just kind of like doing some maintenance on my various potted plants. I have a whole lot of those. Pictures of those kind of pop up on my social media at random. But I needed to do some maintenance because the intense heat of August kind of murdered some of the stuff, and now some other stuff that's fall blooming is starting to come up, because basically what happens is I plant seeds kind of all the time, and then one thing will die, but then seeds that I planted in the same pot will pop up, and so something else will grow. So I don't really ever have like empty pots. There's always something happening in each of those pots. So like with the fall, that just means change out of some of that stuff, and I needed to trim away some of the summer blooming stuff. So took care of that, trimmed some hedges. It was real fun. Yeah. So yeah, I did that, and then I watched Terminator Salvation, the Machinima series, or I tried to over the weekend. It was I tried to. They're like 10, 12-minute long episodes, and like it's like a series of strung together, horribly shot cutscenes in an already shitty old PS2 era video game.
Okay.
It's bad. Like, I just was like, I watched the first episode and I paused the video and I was just like, guys, because I was watching this with some friends. I'm like, guys, I don't know. I don't know about this. We had to take a vote. And then like a couple of people were like, oh, I want to see if it gets better. And I'm like, okay, deal. I will watch one more episode. If that second episode is no better, it's going in the trash. And literally, it was not any better, and it is now in my trash can. So, like, I already watched. Like, I went through all of the Terminator movies with these folks, and after a break, because you can only terminate so much before you need a break, we will be watching Sarah Connor Chronicles, which will be a lot of fun. I like that show.
Yeah.
But anyway, the one with the sexy Terminator.
I wouldn't have called her sexy, but it is a female Terminator.
Okay.
So anyway, it's basically more of a drama that's more about like the daily life of the Connors as they try to, keep John Connor in hiding, but he's trying to have like a normal life, yada yada, that kind of a thing. So it's not really actiony or anything like that. It's more of a drama series. But anyway, so don't ever watch the Machinima series of Terminator Salvation. It's terrible, and
it was made in engine using the game 2009 game from Grin. If you remember Grin, the Terminator Salvation. So this was like an Xbox 360 era game. Let me see here. 1 second. Explained by McG, director of Terminator Salvation. From a filmmaker's point of view, Machinima provides an incredibly dynamic way to explore live worlds and tell compelling new stories. That is the most anodyne, like, corporate told us to do this, and I need to find a way to make it happen.
Well, I mean, like, some of the Machinima stuff is really good.
Oh, there's good Machinima.
I was just like, okay, well, whatever. This might be fine, and no.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's really not. Oh. Wow. So yeah. Anyway, that was the thing that happened. That's all I got.
Okay. Cool. Well, as I said before, I don't have much of anything, so why don't we do a regular kind of show? What with a grind, a multiplayer, and an end boss, and we can get started with The Grind, where we talk about the things we have been playing over the past period of time or so. I'm just going to go in the opposite order that we did last time. So, David, going to lead with you. What you been playing?
Honestly, not a whole lot. I've been continuing on with No Man's Skies.
Okay.
So I got tired of my settlement being in a radioactive wasteland.
Bad for your tax base. Yeah.
Yeah. Tends to be problematic.
Were you appealing to the mutant vote?
You try, but they really they don't have much of a get out the vote. drive. It's really problematic.
Yeah.
But so my next site, unfortunately, ended up being at the base of a active volcano.
All right, lateral move.
Yeah. Turns out that act also wasn't a good call. So
Okay.
it was hot enough that the local vegetation literally would spontaneously catch on fire during some of the warm spikes.
Okay.
So finally, I've relocated to a planet that is, I think it's described as a overgrown planet, which means it's just lots of like plant life and idyllic plains and woods and things like that. Lots of birds flapping around.
Okay.
In fact, strangely enough, this planet has no land animals. It only has birds and sea creatures.
Okay.
Which
is
just interesting.
Is the floor lava?
The floor is not lava.
Okay.
The floor is what appears to be some sort of alien grass.
Okay.
There's no carnivorous plants on this planet.
There are, but they're rare.
Oh, okay. All right.
To be fair, there's carnivorous plants on all planets in No Man's Sky.
Okay.
All planets?
Can you be sure of that, Mr. Moneysmith?
So, except for the planets, there's a class of
sparse.
I think it's lifeless. So it's things like terraforming disasters or plants entirely made out of machines.
Are there gas giants in the universe of No Man's Sky?
There do not appear to be, which I think is really disappointing. I think you should be able to build like a Cloud City type of thing.
Yeah, do like an orbital platform kind of deal.
Start playing a Dyson Sphere project.
Yeah. It is possible to, actually, though, under the right circumstances, park your ship on one of your frigates, jump off the edge, and fall all the way through the atmosphere to a planet and survive. So that's something.
Okay.
I didn't realize you could jump out of your frigate.
So what you have, you can't out of your freighter, but the frigates, you have to, if they get damaged, you have to go like walk around the catwalks and stuff to repair them. Mm-hmm. And so in that case, you can just kind of jump off the catwalks.
Okay. I see.
So, and normally it is not survivable, but if you really load up your resources, you can.
The old suicide loophole.
Did So did the overgrown planet work any better for your settlement?
Yeah. So the settlement's thriving. It's got the architectural pattern is kind of a stonework. Looks almost somewhere between like a Middle Eastern and Mediterranean type of look.
Okay.
And it's populated mostly by the race that are kind of this universe's equivalents of the Klingons.
All right.
So kind of the warrior race, although I have a little bit of the other two races, which are basically frog Ferengis and robot people.
Okay.
But yeah, the one disturbing thing is that your base has various traits that either give positive or negative benefits to the stats. So like population, happiness, and productivity.
Right.
And I had negative happiness when I first got there from a trait that was sinister AI administrator.
Oh, that's not worth worrying about.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a pod bay doors for it to, lock me out of.
No, just alarmist. You're fine. You don't live in fear.
Yeah. So I'm slowly replacing those traits with more positive ones. I recruited a professional engineer, a couple other things.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's, it slowly is, becoming a profitable venture.
Nice. Yeah, no. So, all of this settle. I've got a real hankering to build a settlement. Maybe not in No Man's Sky, but like I've really got my my management sim fever is up, and that's saying something because usually it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a that's a genre you normally hate.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Well, did you have anything else besides No Man's Sky?
Nope, I have not. So open to suggestions.
I don't know if it's on Game Pass, but I've been playing. I'm not going to talk about it here because it's for Bonfireside Chat. But Grime is very good. If you like a Metroidvania Souls-like.
Oh, okay. I have to check that out.
Yeah, you play as a rock man in a not like Mega Man, but like a man made out of rock. You got a black hole for a head, and you're on it's like a really cool, surreal, trippy like stone world that has like nerves and stuff running around. I'm really impressed with it.
Yeah, I have to check that out.
Grime.
Also, isn't Black Hole for a Head? Isn't that what was the game where you collect the cells and stuff?
Dead Cells?
Yes.
They
Wasn't that what you were in Dead Cells?
They were inspired by Dead Cells. I think in Dead Cells, what did you have for a head? I forget. It was like a massive parasite or something like that. Yeah. Something like that.
Isn't the one Sith Lord in Knights of the Republic 2? Don't they have like a black hole for the face?
I think. Huh. I forget. It's been too long since I played Dead Cells.
I feel like if I was playing a Sith Lord with a black hole for a face, my only attack would be headbutting.
Yeah. So I don't have very much over the past weekend. I began streaming again, Rule of Rose, just because I felt like I was overdue for a playthrough, and that is a rare enough game that I feel like it is a service to play it for folks. Especially ones who only want to like play live and participate. So that has been fun. I've talked about that game to death. That is the survival horror game. Takes place in 1930. You're a young girl who ends up stranded at an orphanage, and there are a bunch of kids who are. It's like a Lord of the Flies situation where you are you are the subject to the whim of a brutal aristocracy of these kids. And also you are stranded in a huge airship intermittently, and there are like imps and homunculi coming after you. It's a really aesthetically, there's kind of nothing like it, at least in games. Mm-hmm. And it's fun to share.
Yeah, I did not know you were streaming that again. I've been kind of super busy and then super curled up in my bed. So
yeah, and
I have not, but like I caught parts of it the first time you streamed it, mm-hmm. and I definitely will recommend watching that or watching VODs or whatnot if you do that kind of thing.
Yeah. So that's been fun. The other thing, I got this is less of a thing I've been playing, but more like a very specific PSA. And I put this on Twitter, but I've talked enough about this that it bears talking about here. So I got the new iPhone. Okay. The iPhone, I got the 13 Pro Plus. So it's the big one. I wanted the big size because I'm a real believer in remote play on Steam and PlayStation and Xbox. Super neat to be able to play those games wherever. And to do that on my old phone, I used a controller bracket thing called a Backbone. That's called a Backbone One. That gives it just it plugs in and it gives you it turns it into basically like a little switch, right? However, I got the new iPhone, and I popped this thing into it, and it just barely fit. In fact, I would say it didn't fit at all. The camera bump kept it from seating properly, and so it kind of worked, but it was putting stress on the Lightning port. So I was like, well, that's no good. I don't want to break that port. I use that port for Lightning. Backbone, they're going to be releasing this little 3D printable dingus you can use to apparently make it fit. I'm going to try that You can go like the like public libraries at some point got money for 3D printers. So you can just like send the design to a public library and just pay by the gram. But in the meantime, before I knew there was a fix, I went and picked up kind of a replacement called the Razer Kishi, Kishi, which does something very similar to the Backbone one. Feels a little flimsy compared to the Backbone one, but it does what I needed to do, which is turn my cool new phone into like a little Switch-sized thing that lets me play any game in my Steam library or on my PS5 or on my Xbox. It's good.
The conspiracy theory in me says that like they just do this so that they can sell their own cases that already like fit, and they're like, here, buy these instead.
Oh yeah, it's awful.
Please.
Yeah. No, it's just every new phone purchase, especially if you go with first party stuff, ends up being a real lots of high margin items those cases are, which is why I don't use them. But
I think the Pixel did the same thing where they have like a giant like bar across the back of their phone, or it's like fuck you cases.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was a bummer, but I thought if people are looking into the remote play lifestyle and you are interested in trying those out, understand that out of the box, the 13 Pro camera bump is a little too big to bracket into those things, and it was a real bummer. It was a Best Buy run that I did not want to make.
Like every Best Buy run.
Yes. Yeah.
Ain't got no money. Sorry to say, but I'm going to be a little while before I get into that remote play business.
Yes.
I ain't got no money.
Yep. Oh, so that is all that I have. Just some rule of rose and a PSA. Any questions?
No.
All right. And then looking at the order from last time, we're going through this at a real quick pace. Ben, how about you?
I'll try and slow us down.
No, please don't, because I have a lot to cover.
I got 3, I think. So I'll do like a quick update. Gas station simulator. I finally got all the tips from those lousy customers.
Okay.
So I'm at gas station level 3. I have 3 employees now, so I'm trying to like save up money so I can not have to work anymore. It's a weird thing to say about a
Aren't we all?
Yeah. But so it kind of works where you can always put somebody on register, and then you can sometimes have somebody cleaning the gas station for you.
Okay.
And so then you're basically just left to pump gas and then do any auto repairs, which is pretty simple. And then just order inventory and stuff like that and manage all that. Mm-hmm. I'm at a point where there's like a phone call, and I think I can already tell because there was like some sort of like PSA type message in the game where it was saying like, hey, sandstorms are going to be a thing, and you're going to have to like dig out sand because you haven't really done anything with that like cat vehicle since the beginning of the game.
Right.
So I just don't want to answer that phone call because I don't want to deal with that yet. So I'm kind of biding my time right now and see. I might just try and like upgrade everything that I can first and like get to a good spot and then deal with all that stuff later. Yeah,
very strange to add a new hazard like that late into the game.
That's true. That's true. Huh. We'll see. Maybe it's not even that. Maybe I'm misinterpreting it. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, that game's still interesting. Very, very weird, unique experience where it's like, let's do chores at a really fast pace and feel semi-stressed, but then have virtual goals that are similar to your actual life goals. Anyway,
yeah.
Moving on from that, I played a little bit of Splitgate this past week.
Oh, yeah.
One of my friends, online friends, started playing it, and so they invited me, and I only played for maybe an hour or 2. It's basically Halo with portals. That's not a lie. It feels fine. It's one of those things where it's like it definitely rewards headshots. I know that's like a Valorant type thing. Mm-hmm. I think I only put it for an hour or 2, and I've already like accused somebody of hacking playing with them because they were getting like headshot after headshot. And So it feels like I'm back in high school or college playing video games. I
Hacks.
don't for better or for worse. I don't know. It's fine. I don't really want to invest a lot of time into playing it to try and get good at it. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Mixed feelings.
Is there no matchmaking whatsoever, or?
No, there's like gentle matchmaking. It's not it seems kind of loose. Like so when we partied up, I was like level, I don't know, like 5 or something like that. And the people I was playing with was like level 40. And like you kind of got matched up with people in the same sort of range. But whatever, so the numbers didn't seem atrocious. It's just that the people you were playing against seemed like either this person's really underleveled or weird stuff's going on or blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But I haven't really got, and then the other thing is like I haven't really got down like the strategies for the maps yet of like, oh, on this map you're supposed to go for this weapon and post up here and try and shoot people. So there are some maps where you just get owned because the other people kind of have the strategy down for it.
Okay.
Where it's like they're going to be by the battle rifle the entire time. They have a portal set up so they can see through to the other end and just pot shot you from there, like that sort of thing.
I really didn't think about the camping implications of the portals.
Yeah, the portals are interesting. They add a cool dimension to it because like the idea is you can just set up a portal and like chill next to it, and it kind of gives you the ability to shoot at people without them being able to shoot back at you. They can blindly shoot through a portal if they want.
Okay.
They may or may not see you from where they're at, so they could get lucky and hit you, but it definitely seems like you have more of an advantage if you're the one right next to the portal staring out.
Right.
But, they have grenades and stuff. I think you have unlimited grenades that you can throw that, like, kill portals. So the people that are really good, you can tell because, like, after you go through a portal, when you turn around, like, it's already shut because someone's, like, grenaded it. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely something that you can kind of fight back against. Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's like a learning curve sort of thing, where it's like, if you played it long enough, I think you'd get good at it and you'd figure out all the tricks and stuff.
Yeah, just a matter of do you want to invest that time in this, or do you want to play stuff and get a variety of things?
Yes, and I have instead chosen to play the third game I want to talk about this week, which is more Storybook Brawl.
Yeah.
So I've been grinding away at this still. This is kind of the game that I'm watching on Twitch too, as far as like seeing how other people play it and kind of seeing like what options there are there. And I'm kind of like trying to grind up the ranks. So the way they do leveling is you start at 0, and I think every 500 you kind of rank up, and then you can't go below that number. So based on what your ranking is, like you get first place will give you a certain number of points, and last place will take away a certain number of points, but you have a hard barrier at wherever your ranking's at. So I think I just got to 2,500 today. And so when you get to 3,000 is when you start having ELO rankings. Okay. And then you have like an actual rank, like you are the 1,000th player of like whatever. Right. So I think that'll be interesting. So I want to try and get there eventually, I think. There's a little bit of this like weird meta strategy where the first time you win every day, you get like plus like, I don't know, like 50 points or 200 points or something like that. That might be something else, actually. That might be a different economy. So maybe you can't game the system like that. But basically you basically kind of go on streaks where you might win like 3 or 4 games in a row. And so then you're kind of like within striking distance of ranking up. And so that's when it becomes more like white knuckle and sweaty type play where it's like you just need to worry about getting to the top 4 because that's where you gain points, and then it's like all like icing on the cake from there. So that's what that I don't know if that's like a different type of fun, I guess. I don't know. It's like that's when you're like doing things like, I don't care if this strategy is fun or not. I'm going to do things that like maximize my chance of like survival. So it's
playing
like
it safe, yeah, which may take away your competitive edge,
Yeah. So it becomes kind of weird, but it definitely is rewarding once you like when you kind of like figure out a strategy midway through the game and like lean into it and go after it, and then it pays off and like you end up winning and stuff. That feels very, very satisfying. And it's like a similar feeling you get when the same sort of thing happens when you're doing drafting in Magic. If like you kind of like see signs and see what colors are opening and kind of go for that sort of thing, sometimes it can pay off and that feels really rewarding. I I'm not sure how much I talked about it last week or where I was at last week. I'm trying to I keep identifying different strategies that work for the game, but it does seem to have a decent amount of depth where there's just random combos you'll see every so often where you're like, oh, I didn't even know that was possible, or this dude's owning. So I think I mentioned before, there's if you get 3 of any one creature, it combines into a single one that's has some sort of perk or buff over the 3 individual ones that makes it equal power or more powerful, but just a single creature again. And you get an artifact whenever you do that based on the level of the creature that tripled. And so there's some really interesting artifact combinations. So, for example, there's one creature where when they die, they give all their power and toughness to every good creature. There's 3 types of creatures: good, bad, and neutral, I guess. And there's a perk where your first character has plus 100 attack. So if you have all good characters and you put that character in the front and then they die, now all of your characters have plus 100 attack and they can kind of go wild. But I saw somebody with a perk where they had that artifact, but then there's another artifact where your starting attack and health are whatever's the highest between the two for each of your creatures. And so somebody had both those perks. So the person in the first slot was a 100 creature, which is very big for the game. Yeah. So, so it's stuff like that I don't know. It's cool to see those combinations, even if you're getting walloped by it. It's an interesting game. It's pretty fun. It's still free. I put $5 into it today. I realized that they have 2 kind of packs you can buy, and so they're for $5 you can buy early access whatever, and it gives you you can buy X heroes with it, and it gives you emotes, and it gives you a frame. But it's more just to support it and be hey, since it's free, here you go. And then if you are absolutely flipping, the only other option is a $120 pack, which basically unlocks all the characters for you and gives you less cool emotes, in my opinion. But but I don't know. Maybe some people do that. But I thought it was really interesting that there is a giant gulf between those 2 options. So anyway, I really like that game. That'll probably be the main game I keep playing in the next week or so.
Nice. I mean, $5. You must have you must be at what? I mean, tens of hours in this.
I am at 120 hours.
So tens? So that counts as tens.
That counts. The record show that is 12 tens. I probably left it on a couple nights, so I would say that. I would say you're primarily correct, even.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Always nice to find a cheap game that gets you that much playtime. That and SNKRX were definitely 2 of those this year.
Oh yeah, just awesome. Miles per gallon is pretty high on all those.
Yep.
Nice. So Gas Station Simulator, Splitgate, and Storybook Brawl. Yeah. Jala, round us out.
Sure. So I've got 2 things, one of which is very big, so I will talk about the first thing briefly. First game is ICEY. So
that looks interesting.
Yeah, it's a 2D side-scrolling hack and slash game by Shanghai Fantablade Network Technology and published by XD Network in 2016. It was recommended to me by my friend and Duckfeed member Briar. They mentioned it to me maybe a year after it came out, but my backlog is such a nightmare that I didn't pick it up until it was on sale on my Switch, and I was like, I can play this in bed, and then that was the selling point. Yeah. So, but I've been watching it this whole time and considering my backlog, and just it just didn't fit in. But I do seriously take all of the recommendations and stuff and seriously consider them. It just might take me half of a decade before I get to it.
Right.
Anyway, so you play as a female cyborg who is on a mission to destroy a villain named Judas, who apparently destroyed the world, as all that's left are his robots and a post-apocalyptic setting with ruined, abandoned cities and stuff like that.
Man, Judas just can't catch a break.
So the game is narrated, and though you hear cues of what you're supposed to go do and where you're supposed to go, overall, you can disobey the commands and go wherever you want and do whatever you want to. But that prompts the narrator to then comment, like, instead of continuing her mission, ICEY selfishly goes off in another direction or something. And apparently he gets really like increasingly frustrated with you. And eventually at some point the dev talks directly to the player. So it's very meta that way.
David, plug your ears. So it's like the Stanley Parable.
Yes, it's similar to that in that
gameplay.
So speaking of gameplay, ICEY has a sword, but she also uses various combos that you unlock through battle, and you can chain them. So it kind of plays a little bit like DMC in a good way, though, because the gameplay for DMC was fine. I just hated it when any of the characters talked. So
right.
Just a remembering of what my opinion was of that game. I liked the combat. It was fine, but like, I just didn't like anybody opening their mouth. So anyway, it plays kind of like that. And you have shields that wear down, but they can be refilled when you use a special kill move that sucks energy out of the robots that you fight. There isn't a blocking move. Instead, you have a dash that allows you to temporarily be invulnerable, and you can like scoot through people or scoot through like projectiles and things.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I tend to use rolls in fighting games when there are rolls more so than I use blocks. So I try to just literally get out of the way more than I try to just stand there and block.
You got to love iframes. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it initially had Chinese voiceover with English subtitles, but later they added English and Japanese voiceovers. So I haven't gotten too far into it. I started it and I was entertained, but then I wandered into a back alley in the video game in this dilapidated town and ended up in a kind of arena type thing where you have to have like endless combat until you die, or at least it felt endless to me. I didn't get to the end of it because my fingers just got really tired of button mashing. So when I died, I didn't get to keep any of the money or the skills unlock points that I got. So I got mad, turned it off, and the next time that I went to play something, I changed to a completely different game. So it's apparently a really short game, and that was one of the things that it was critiqued about. It's 2.5 hours to 5 hours, depending upon how far you want to go with completing everything. So it's not super, super long. It's probably, if I didn't get stuck in a back alley somewhere, I might have been able to finish it that evening. So
I mean, kind of sounds like it is meant to be like a score game, right? If it's combo based DMC, like it's meant for challenge run kind of things.
Yeah, for sure. So
it also sounds like you're probably supposed to explore a bunch of different options and maybe play it a couple times. If they have that trade system.
It's definitely one of those games that's meant for replays and meant for you to work on mastering the timing and the combat system and stuff like that. So, I mean, like I was just in, I don't know how many levels in I was or whatever, but like it felt pretty quick into the game that there was like an arena thing, and there wasn't any like signposting about you're about to enter an arena, turn back now to go back to the original game. The narrator didn't yell at me when I went there, but like I fell into a trap, guys. Don't do it. So like if you're playing this game and you see a back alley, don't wander into the back alley. It's a bad idea because you get jumped, like really. So.
Did the narrator tell you not to go in the back alley?
No, he didn't. If he did, I would have been like, I should have listened to the narrator that time. Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, that was.
If the narrator tells you not to,
reliable narrator, huh?
right.
But if the narrator tells you not to do something, that's the first thing you do.
So. Well, anyway, so that's all I got about that because I did not play super deep into it, but I was enjoying what I played of it, and it does some interesting things with just like the UI and everything, and I can't really go into detail because I think it might be spoilery. So, like, anyway, play it. It's fun. It goes on sale pretty often. Anyway, it's not a big time investment, so like definitely something you can check out.
Yeah, icy spelled like the adjective.
Well, except not because there's an E in there.
Oh yeah, I suppose you're right.
Yeah.
Spelled like dicey without the D.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
The
Okay, so anyway, the other game that I have been playing a lot of, Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Yeah.
So before I talk about it properly, I want to remind everyone that you can always look at my Twitter for whatever commentary I have about any game that I'm playing at any time as I go through it. You can hashtag Fire Emblem Awakening, for example. Like search that with @Jala-chan, and you will see all of the stuff that I was saying about that game. I did that recently, and I gave myself the giggles listening to or reading my own posts that I wrote like 3 years ago. So at least there's that. At least I made myself happy. But anyway, this game, Nintendo Switch automatically adds hashtags for it, and it's hashtag Fire Emblem, hashtag Three Houses. It's two separate ones. I don't know why, and I don't know why it puts two different tags, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's probably the colon in the middle, maybe. It treats the main title and the subtitle as two different things.
I guess. I don't know. Well, anyway, on to the actual game, though, because I didn't bother to change it. I'm like, I'm not going to fix it on every single tweet. You can just look for that. That's fine.
Yeah.
So this is a tactical RPG developed by Intelligent Systems and Koei Tecmo for the Switch, published by Nintendo in 2019. And it also won the Game Awards for Best Sims Strategy Game of the Year. So I have currently put in 27 hours.
Nice. Had you played a Fire Emblem before? I can't recall.
Fire Emblem Awakening.
Oh,
That
you
was
had
3 years ago, and that was my first Fire Emblem.
Okay.
As a matter of fact. So I'm currently in Chapter 8. I have not gotten to the time skip that happens. That's apparently a feature of all the Fire Emblems, or at least it was in Awakening in this one, both. So anyway, the story is set on the continent of Fodlan, where three superpowers hold control of the various regions and are currently at peace. The nations are connected through the monastery, which is both a church and an officer school for students of all the nations. I suppose they're military, because I don't know why else there would be officers. Anyway, you play as Bleh, which to be Byleth, I think.
Okay.
Bleh. Anyway, a former mercenary who is taken in and is added as the newest professor at the school. So, bleh, sounds like somebody who's throwing up, but like, because there's the TH at the end, it sounds like they are either Castellano or they have a lisp. Bleh.
Is it said that, like, when I see the name, I say Byleth. Did they actually pronounce it weird in a voiceover?
I have no idea. No. I don't even think that they always call Byleth like teacher or whatever.
Okay.
They don't really. I don't believe I've heard the name actually spoken by anybody. I'm sure if I just went and looked at it, I could see how it's pronounced. Anyway, the whole point is it looks like bleh. So,
is that the default name, or can you pick your name in this, or you give that name?
You can change their name to it. You can also pick your gender. You can pick whether you're female or male, and then you get to choose what house you want to teach. So there's 3 titular houses. So the House of Blue Lions, the House of Black Eagles, which for some reason are all colored red instead of black, and I don't know why. And then the House of the Golden Deer. And it was kind of a given that I was going to go Golden Deer because the people leading the Lions and the Eagles wear cravats. And if you have listened to the Ace Attorney bonus levels, you know how I feel about cravats.
Fancy.
No, but seriously,
putting on airs.
Seriously, though, the other 2 leaders are just really serious and boring, and I hate them. So it's Claude all the way, who's plotting to give his rivals the equivalent of X-Lax so they can't fight during the tourneys.
Okay.
So, like, that's just his steez. But he's just always trying to think ahead and trying to find ways to get a one-up on everybody.
He's a trickster.
Yeah.
Classic Team Yellow move right there.
I'm down for it.
So this is basically like
Harry Potter crossed with like, okay, what?
Oh, I was going to say like Pokemon crossed with the military-industrial complex.
Yeah, it's kind of, well, except there's a romantic aspect to it, although this one doesn't have that. Well, I don't know. It kind of has more of it and then less of it at the same time as Awakening, because in Awakening, you can actually get all of your people in your units to fall in love with each other, and then they all have babies, and then that's who you play in the place time after the time skips. So like that's like Fire Emblem Awakenings steez. And apparently like the whole series has like a certain level of horn going on. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. Like I've only played 2 of the Fire Emblem games. This one was highly recommended. So anyway, okay, I've got to talk about a lot of systems, guys. So your time is divided between a whole slew of different mechanics. But unlike Fire Emblem Awakening, which, you know, again, was the last one that I played, you don't get to grind battles however you please. There's a monthly calendar that the game follows, and each weekend you get a free day where you get to choose how to spend your time. And on the following day, you set up instruction for your students for the week. So the rest of the week goes by automatically with different events, including consultations with students if you gain new support levels, or birthdays of all the people of the various houses where you can opt to celebrate them or not with a tea party. Or sending flowers. And I will be camping out on Tea Party. Let me just give you that warning. Anyway, each free day, there are 4 per month, because they don't ever have like that weird month that has 5 weeks in it like we do. But anyway, there are certain things that are available to do. So basically not all of the things are available at all times for you to participate in.
Yeah.
And you
And so
can't
kind
do
of have
everything.
you can't do everything, and you have to kind of plan around the mission and like your current level and like how you're feeling and what the motivation levels of like all of your bars and meters. You've got to think about all of that.
I was gonna say, one of the options of what you can do is have lunch with your student, and
Yes.
like it feels kind of creepy.
Oh no! I will talk to you about some creep in a minute. I gotta talk about some other stuff. It'll come in time. So there are also quests that have time limits and will only appear during a given month. And each month your house has one overall mission, story mission assignment that is always a battle. And that's what kind of progresses it from chapter to chapter as you go through the game. So different stuff that you can do. So each week you can elect to have your students, allies, and yourself take certification exams for different classes once you are eligible by meeting certain skill level requirements. This is considered a free action, doesn't take up any of your free time. My people currently are level 20 to 22 and are just starting to be able to certify as an advanced class, but you have to have a seal in order to take the exam. And there's a shortage of seals at the moment because there always is right when you first get the ability to advance.
Are seals endangered?
What was that? Yeah, they're endangered, Cole.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm not currently satisfied with the skill level of a few of my folks, including my main character, who's just basically OP. So I keep not using her very much, just because she was just killing everything. And I was like, no, I evenly level my people. Stop. Yeah. So I'll very likely be doing a bunch of battles in the future to prepare everybody for advanced classes. Also, a few people that I want to change class exist. And if listeners have any suggestions about the easiest way to train somebody up in a different skill to reclass them, please let me know. Hit me up on Twitter or something, or Slack or whatever, one of the various venues, and let me know, because that sounds like a headache to me. Anyway, you can also access the marketplace for free. You can go to the Armory, Item Shop, Battalion Guild, and Blacksmith. And in order to access the special traveling merchants, they actually have to have arrived at the monastery that weekend, and you have to elect to explore the monastery to see those guys. But everybody else, the standard fare, you can go ahead and access those at any time. So stuff that costs points. You can opt to give or take seminars, and depending on the motivation and goals of your various students and the other faculty, they will also join in. These seminars increase your skill level, but then it just takes your whole weekend, and that's the end of that. Battles are undertaken in the typical turn-based TRPG Fire Emblem style. You have a set number of units, you move across a map, fighting enemies and monsters. All of your units have support levels related to how often you have them fight together. A minor critique of the game is that the battles are easier in this one than in other titles in the series. And I remember that being distinctly true for Awakening. Like I remember having to struggle a little bit more with the fights in that one than this one.
Yeah. I mean, early Fire Emblem games, we did, the Sacred Stones for WoF, and that game is very difficult. And people said, like Awakening and Three Houses are like, they really designed them for kind of new players in a nice and accommodating way.
Yeah, I'd heard that Awakening was not as hard as like the earlier games, and I'm like, I guess I don't want to play those then. So anyway, I don't know. I might eventually want to play those, but anyway, I do not have that kind of emotional investment in having to start over many, many times at this juncture in my life. So anyway, you can select whether you want to run it in classic mode, where once a unit dies, they are dead forever, or casual mode. They literally call it casual mode. Where your units return at the end of the battle. And I guess that was the thing. Okay, I'm going to be talking about the differences between how I play and how Dave plays, because it's very funny to me.
Okay.
He decided he was going to be in classic mode. I don't know if he just got offended by the name casual or what. But anyway, that was to his detriment. More on that later. Anyway.
Has all the students died just to get new ones?
The world may never know. Okay, well, anyway, so at the beginning of the game, you only have one action point for battles, and I think you gain more points based on your current level or your professor level. Those are two different things. I'm not sure which one of those gives you the points. There are at any given time an unlimited number of random battles that you can engage in that don't have any story connectivity. They're just there for you to grind, as well as at least one special battle that is either from a quest that you pick up at the monastery, a paralogue if you happen to purchase the DLC that has some story relation to it and is only available for a limited time as you go through the game, or a random battle that yields greater rewards like double a gold or something. At the current moment, I have 2 battle points, so I can do something like a quest mission and then a paralogue and then just get extra story stuff, you know. There's also in the DLC a 4th house that has a short 4-chapter story to run through, but it contains spoilers for the main game that the game warned you about before you start. It's like, by the way, this is the new accessible story, but it has spoilers for the main story, so
that's nice of them to give you a heads up.
Yeah, don't play that. Yeah. Don't play that right off the bat. So that's battles. Then you've got exploring the monastery. So the bulk of your non-battle time is spent in the monastery. And as with the battle, you have a limited number of action points for some of the time-consuming activities around the monastery. And then there's a bunch of free actions that you can do that don't count against your point total. And you gain more action points as you get higher professor levels, and professor levels are directly tied to your renown, how well everybody thinks of you based on whatever you're doing and accomplishing out in the wide world, you know, doing quests, killing people in battle or whatever. So some of the free actions, you can wander around and physically explore everything that's currently open to you, talk to your party members, a bunch of NPCs. They all can give you quests at different points during the game. The people that give you quests do have a map marker, and there's a bulletin board that will give you the rundown of all the available quests for the month, so you can fast travel to those people and just talk to the people who have something for you. So that is a convenience item. Quests will give you money, the renown that raises your professor level, and items. And when you're exploring, you will also find stuff. Like there's sometimes seeds or bait that you can use in fishing, or items that are lost by somebody, and you have to figure out who this belongs to and give it back to them. And you can also find stuff that you can give as gifts. And when you give gifts or return lost items, that increases your support level with that person. There are also lots of dogs and cats around, and you can feed them, and they will give you stuff like smithing stones that they just carry around in their mouth, and I guess they drop it when you wave a chicken at them.
Okay.
So that's a thing, because they just have to have a lot of stuff for you to do.
There's
You can
gardening.
also, yeah, there's gardening, there's fishing. So fishing, you can buy or find bait. You have a bite, and then you kind of do a rhythm game thing where there's like a narrowing ring of light that's like shrinking over a target board, and then you have to hit the button at just the right time when it goes into a certain section. Then the fish, you can feed them to the animals, or you can also cook with them or whatever. Gardening, you can plant a bunch of different types of seeds and then choose like a cultivation method. You only have one free method, but you can unlock additional method that cost money, like scattering bone meal based on your professor level.
Good
Then
God.
the next week, you can come back to harvest the crops, which, depending on the type of seeds, can either be flowers that you can give as gifts to people or give to people on their birthday, or you will get like potatoes or whatever that you can cook with. So those are all free actions.
Wow.
You also have the advice box. Students anonymously write into an advice box every month, and you can go up to the advice box lady and talk to her. And then you have a bunch of questions from students and have to select answers to advise them with to whatever their dilemma is. And if they like your answer, you get support points and professor class points.
Oh, wow.
And then the renown is also another. It's not just for your professor level. You can also restore saint statues that give you extra bonuses when you're learning stuff based on what tier you've unlocked.
Okay. I mean,
I haven't even got to the action point stuff yet. I'm still plugging away.
This is a lot. And
it is a lot.
And you do. I mean, and you're doing all of this on a really like regular rhythm.
Yes, it's like you get to pick which one you do, and like you can also opt to play online, and it will tell you what percentage of players picked what thing to do that weekend, which might tip you off as to what the best option, or most common option to go with is. So stuff that takes action points in the monastery. You can go to the sauna with at least one other person of your choosing. It could be a faculty member or somebody in your class, a random student. That's not creepy at all. You can increase the steam or stay longer, and you have action points in the sauna of how many times you can pick to increase the steam or stay longer, and both of those fill a meter of how relaxed you and your guest are. And then when you hit a certain target line, you're relaxed, and then you get a bonus to learning stuff. Same thing applies to your guest, and then you get support points, etc., for doing that one. There's tournaments. You can participate in tournaments in the training grounds by selecting a member of your house to fight. They say like it's a sword battle, and then you pick somebody who's really good in swords and tell them to go fight. And then you win money after every foe that you defeat. And there's a prize at the end if you defeat everybody. And it's pretty much just automatic. So you just watch it happen after you select somebody, but that takes a point. And then, of course, if they win, then they also get like their motivation through the roof, which is, yes, another meter.
Yeah.
You have choir practice. You can choose a couple of people to attend choir practice with to raise everybody's faith skill and support levels. You can do faculty training, where you can go to the faculty peoples and take instruction from them in anything that they are skilled in. And this raises your proficiency in that skill and gives you support points with the faculty member, because you can recruit everybody.
Yeah. So are these? I mean, are there mechanics associated with any of these, or is this just like something you're picking off of a menu? Like, I need this advantage for this person to either shore up this weakness or to further specialize them.
The only things that really kind of have a mini game of any sort to them are like the fishing is sort of kind of a mini game.
Yeah.
And then the sauna, like trying to figure out the gauges and pick the right options is kind of a thing. And otherwise it's just like trying to learn about the characters in the monastery and then figuring out by their personality what answers they want to hear or whatever. And then like going with that.
Like a dating sim. Yeah.
I think a good way to describe it is the game has a similar flow to XCOM, where it's like battle then base and battle then base.
Yeah.
But the base is like an actual 3D place that you can go around, explore, and talk to people and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've never played XCOM, but yes, I will just say yes. Okay, I agree with that. So you can also cook together with somebody or share a meal with a couple of students or faculty or whatever. And doing that increases motivation, provides support points. And also, you might want to do this with people that are not in your house to make them like you more, so that they are more predisposed to saying yes if you try to recruit them for your house and get them to fight with you, so that way you get them on your team or transfer to your class or whatever the deal is. So and some people like to cook and other people don't, so you know, like, everybody's personalities are like very important in this game. So okay, tea time. Tea time. Oh my. Okay, in the Discord, I'm going to put a bunch of links. Here are some very upsetting tea times. You can see some of the tea times I've had there in the Discord, just for you. So anybody can look it up and see tea time, and it's very upsetting. You can invite anybody to tea time when you explore the monastery, and it takes up an action point, but they will decline to have tea with you sometimes, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's because you have to have a certain support level or what, because they just sometimes are like, I don't have time right now or whatever, and it's like, okay. So anyway, you can also do tea time for people's birthdays. So you start by picking a type of tea. Everybody has favorite types of tea that will increase their support level with you when you happen to pick their favorite, because you're psychic, actually, that you have a guide.
You did, yeah, you looked up on a wiki.
Yeah, then you stare at them as they drink tea, and then 3 times a prompt comes up to talk, and then you have 3 different options of topics to pick from. And it's timed, so if you don't say anything, the guest is unhappy, and you have to pick something, decide what does this person want to talk about. But you don't get like the actual conversation. All you get is like monastery rules or something, and then the person will be like, there will be a talk bubble that goes up that says, oh, they were drawn into the conversation, and they do a giggle or something, and then you move on, and it's very weird. And if you pick topics that interest them, more often than not, you get a final prompt where they say something to you, and then you reply via basically one of 3 random actions, which could be like chat, blush, nod, and then they go, oh my, and then like that's the end of it. And then if you have a good tea time or a perfect tea time or whatever, you have a little bit of extra time at the end where you get to get up in their grill and stare at them uncomfortably, and like they get uncomfortable and they comment about it, and it's like, it's very weird. And then like, you know, you get buttons where you're like laugh, smile, banter, nod or something, and then like they'll blush randomly or I don't know, whatever, and it's just very, very weird. There's a banter button, but bantering and buttons, they might be 2 of my favorite things, but I hate this.
Yeah, when they combine. And these are your students, you say?
Students, and some of them are faculty. Like Manuela is a faculty member, but like everybody else in the links that I shared are students. So both John, or Tethalus, as he may otherwise be known to the folks, and Fred told me that Fire Emblem Echoes had a petting mechanic where you could touch the face on the 3DS, and they took it out of the US release, but it still exists in the Fire Emblem Heroes mobile game. Here's the thing from Fred. If you watch that video, you can hear her commenting her upset at you touching her. She says like, do that again and you'll pull back a stump or something like that.
Right.
And it's like,
as well she should.
Yes, as well you should. Please don't be weird and creepy to these people. That's very upsetting. So that's
You're
like
their
a level
boss.
of porn that I just like. I can get with shipping. I can get with cutesy romance. Tee okay, whatever. But like, there's a point. And this way past that, and went, I don't know where it went, but it went somewhere very far over that point, especially with the whole petting thing. Like, that's too many. It's not in this game. This game does not have petting. It just has weird and upsetting tea time. So
I mean,
all right.
that do not care for.
Yeah. So that's my complaint about this game, is tea time. I hate it. So anyway, after you use up all of your free time on Saturday, then you progress to Sunday, where I said before you can set up the instruction for your students. You can do this either automatically and let the game do it for you, or you can manually work with them. This also has action points attached to it based on your professor level. And if the students have a motivation meter, and the more motivated they are, the more you can teach them, and therefore the more skills they will gain. So right now where I'm at, everybody's not motivated anymore because I've been doing a lot of stuff. So I need to, one of the other options you can do is just choose to rest on a weekend, and that restores everybody's motivation, but then you don't get to do anything else that weekend. So I will probably have to finally make them rest so that they restore their motivation, because they have been pushing hard like I do all the time in real life.
I'd be careful, because I wouldn't put it above them or below them, whichever is worse, to do a Hot Springs episode if you decide to take a week off. So
right. Yeah. So anyway, I do know that there are outfits in the DLC that are summertime, where they're all in bathing suits and stuff. So there's at least a summertime beachy thing somewhere.
Yeah.
So, or if not directly in the actual game, it's the omake. So whatever.
Right.
Anyway, instructing your students also has action points attached to it based on your professor level, and you can instruct a certain number of students based on how many action points you have, and give them bonuses. So you can work with certain people all the time if you want just those people to level up, or spread it around, but you have to make sure that the students you want to teach have the motivation to learn by the time you get to this point.
Right.
So you can update the goals of your students based on their class or whatever it is that you want them to train up in. They get 2 things that they can focus on to gain faster than other stuff. Then you can also select 2 students to do group activities like Sky Patrol, or working in the stables, or pulling weeds, which increases riding or flying or heavy armor skills. And it increases their support level if they work together.
Wait, these people can fly?
They have wyverns and Pegasus. So Pegasi, I don't know.
Pegasus.
So.
I think those tasks help with the specialized classes, because there's a flying specialized class.
There's a flying specialized class. There's the cavalry, the knights are on horses, and then you've got the heavy armor guys who are your super big warrior dudes. So
I feel like the horse dudes might be a tad overshadowed by the effing dragons.
Right.
The dragons end up being really weak to projectiles. Archers can just pick them out of the sky. They tend to be pretty fragile too.
Exact opposite of how fur versus scales works.
Oh,
Right. So I've mentioned motivation several times. And motivation is increased by being MVP in battle, cooking together, sharing a meal together, going to the sauna together, and becoming relaxed, being given a gift, or having a lost item returned to them. Those are the things that make them happy and motivated.
Yeah.
So also attending seminars gives you motivation points. So if people go to a seminar, then they get all jazzed up about the stuff they just learned, I guess.
Yeah. So motivation is potential kind of thing. Okay, this is fungible, and I can use this to boost up other stats. If I don't have motivation, nothing else will work.
Indeed. Yeah. So when you use up all your points for instructing students, you begin the lecture, and then time skips forward. And again, during the week, birthdays and conversations and stuff happen. And then, you go from there into your mission at the end of the month, and then you move to the next chapter. Mm-hmm. So that's the cycle of the game. Now, Dave versus Jala gameplay style.
Okay.
Dave is playing this game. He played it first. He's I don't know. I'm closing the gap on how long I've been playing the game, because he was only kind of playing it off and on, and I just burrowed through this game very, very quickly. But he's been playing it maybe 10 hours more than me.
Okay.
And he's on classic mode, as I mentioned before. And he killed his very favorite student, and she is dead forever.
Correctly.
Yeah.
And I have no qualms with being labeled casual, so I'm playing on casual. But because of how I play, it's also incredibly hard to kill my people, because I level everybody evenly. And like I go through multiple times to get everybody where I want them to be. Like my Jala hates grinding thing does not really apply so much to a TRPG.
Yeah, because you're
as
making
much as
like
it does
interesting
to-
choices in battles. You're not just tapping.
Yeah, it's not like tappa. Oh, this is so boring. Like it's a lot of moving parts. So, Dave ended up leveling bleh, and like 2 other people, and everybody else is 10 levels below them and useless. So those 3 people went and killed everything until his favorite student died, and now he's trying to level everybody a little bit more. He doesn't do random battles, and he opts most of the time to take seminars. So he's very skilled, but woefully underleveled.
Okay.
And so he's starting to struggle at the point that he's at. He's like on chapter, I don't know, 15 or something at this point. I think he's the black house. And so like, I think I just looked up how many chapters everything is. I think they have like 18 chapters. So he's pretty close to the end of the game at this point. But he also spreads all of his people out all the time, so they never have support conversations. So he's not really seen any of the interactions between the students, which is kind of the highlight of everything.
Yeah, that's
the fun part.
You get a lot of story that way, like interesting like backstories for characters. Yeah,
for sure. And
isn't that also how you dodge the awkwardness?
No, the awkwardness comes with the tea time, which you can elect to do or not do. So I only do the tea time because it helps your support point goals towards like getting people on your team and things, but I'm not going to like it. Anyway, he doesn't do any of the fishing or the gardening stuff. He basically fails to take on the full breadth of the game, but somehow he's still hobbling along and making it along the way. But it's so funny because he'll just be really interested in whatever I'm doing, and he's like, I've never seen that before. He's like, oh, I forgot that was even there. I haven't been interacting with this whole section of the game.
Haven't thought about that since they tutorialized it.
Right, exactly. So, and like everybody is free to play the game as they want, but it's very fun to me to see the differences in how they play, especially since like it is my understanding, Kole, that you do not evenly level your folks when you're playing a TRPG. You pick your favorites, right? And then you just go. Like I think that's how it sounded anyway from some of the other times we've mentioned characters where you have to toggle parties.
Yeah. So I try and have an A team and a B team is the way that usually goes. And like on those, I tend to like at the most try and always have like one character who's a little bit below everybody so they can be like caught up. And that's the way that I try and like I try and keep the roster a little bit even. An A team and B team, like that's primarily to have different specializations kind of always at the ready. Depending. So it's a little column A, little column B. I try not to be entirely unbalanced. However, sometimes it's really hard to avoid.
Gotcha. So yeah, like I mentioned, I will evenly level all my folks and keep them evenly leveled throughout the game. So like I won't mind going and doing another battle to catch one little guy up to make him, at least the minimum level. I mean, like there's a range. But, at this point, like I said, the problem that I'm finding is like, well, I really want their skills to be higher in this completely different thing that I haven't been training up this whole time. I don't know. I might be totally SOL and they might just be weaker as that class that I put them as because I didn't look up what's the optimal class for this character. I just like pick stuff, know. So like there's a girl named Hilda who is super like she tries to get out of work as much as she can, and she like all of her conversations with anybody are always crusades to get them to do the fighting for her so that she can just cheer from the sidelines. And she is ironically my only heavy armor knight guy. So that means that she's like nigh a nigh impenetrable fortress of like giant towering shield and like big armor, but then there's like cute little pink pigtails in her little cutesy voice and a very large axe. So
bit of a mismatch.
Yep, exactly. So anyway, that's I talked about it. I'm done. Next time I talk about it, I can just futz around.
Yeah.
Briefer. It'll be briefer. I promise.
Are there any students you want to poach from other houses?
I've already picked up a couple of the ones that I wanted to poach from other houses. Mostly it's like, a lot of my folks ended up being like kind of by what they had by default. I just kind of like let them be. And so like just to branch out and have a few more types of characters, I want to recruit certain characters just, from other houses just to like get more variety in, what I have available at any given time. Because I've left a lot of them to be pretty default to whatever they're leaning towards by themselves. Because they'll like suggest during the lectures, they'll be like, hey, I know that you want me to have these goals, but could I maybe change them to these goals and do this class instead? And I'm like, sure. So,
Yeah.
So anyway. Well.
Nice.
The end.
Fire Emblem. 3 houses.
Exhausting.
Yeah, I don't know that I have to like too many questions on top of that. I mean, just are you finding? So you've played several kind of tactics kind of games up to
my
this
first
point.
RPG was
Shining Force.
So
Yeah.
That's another thing. I was talking to John about Shining Force Resurrection of the Dark Dragon, which was the Game Boy Advance remake of the original Shining Force game, and it's like everything that they did to it was additive to the experience. And so that's my favorite rendition of the first game. And my second favorite Shining Force after Shining Force 3. But I have been thinking for a long time about rebuying a Game Boy SP so I could play it again because it never came out on any other system. And I am not going to emulate it on my Surface and lay with my computer sideways in bed. I'm not going to do it. So so instead I just went and bought, I found like a bootleg copy of the cartridge for $8, and I was I have no emotional attachment to the sticker. And then I found like a used GBA SP for a pretty decent price too. So I picked that up, and so whenever the cartridge comes in, I will be playing some of that as well.
Nice. And hey, you have a Game Boy Advance SP now. Yeah, love that thing. Cool.
It's so small. It's like smaller than my phone. Like way smaller than my phone. It's so
itsy
cute.
bitsy. Yeah.
It's perfect. Anyway.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Jala, you posted the question. And it was suggested by Aaron S. So what did the both of you ask the nice people?
Well, we asked, what are some public domain works you would love to see adapted into a game, and what kind of game would it be?
Yeah. And I will get started here with Greg, who says, I think a game based around the best tales from 1001 Arabian Nights would make for a fun game. You can either take an RPG approach, your character does them as quests and slowly advances in power and status, or a virtual novel game where I didn't click the see more before I go there, or a virtual novel game where you get to make choices to impact how the tale goes and what happens to you. With hundreds of tales to choose from, there's also the potential for a lot of DLC and mixing things up by throwing curveballs at players, since many of the tales are not known to Western readers, just the more famous ones, and exposing them to a different time and culture in a fun way.
That's a super awesome idea. I want that game.
Yeah. Neat. And not what was it on the NS? The Legend of Scheherazade, something like that.
Oh, that was a great game. That was one of my favorite games growing up.
Yeah, I could never pronounce it. I think I still can't pronounce it. David, what does Chris say?
Chris says, I'd like an RPG, regular action, based on the Odyssey. Is that public domain? Google said sure, so I'm going with it.
It's ridiculously public domain.
I mean, they made Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I think the Coen brothers have made multiple movies about this.
Sailing around, exploring, and killing Greek mythology things would be fun. I'm not picky about it either being a fun game like Immortals or a Souls-like or anything in between. I just want more RPGs dealing with mythology. Oh wait, there's an Assassin's Creed Odyssey game, isn't there? I'm not counting it, because I want Odyssey's specific adventure. Oh, I want Odysseus' specific adventure.
Yeah.
I mean, you get an Odysseus' specific adventure.
Oh man, yeah, that'd be fun. Odyssey's good. Yeah. Ben, what does Tim say?
Tim says, I can imagine a really trippy and interesting interpretation of the Jungle Book, maybe even something similar to Enslaved, Odyssey to the West, and that I could see it being tricky to directly adapt. Either way, it would be nice to get a truly unique take on that world and characters.
Yeah, Enslaved is a very interesting way to handle that kind of adaptation, because that is its own interpretation of Journey to the West, which would be, just, I don't know, it's a Doki Doki fact, but just like that has been readapted and elements have been pulled from it so many times. And a lot of people over here don't even know that that's like a hugely influential old, like the folklore, piece of literature kind of thing from China, I believe. Somebody correct me. I feel like I'm out on a limb.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, China.
Yeah. Dragon Ball is kind of pulled from that a little bit. Continue. Mm-hmm. What's up?
Yeah. It's just that I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks recently about race stuff that it's like I can't see Jungle Book and have any good feelings anymore. It's like ruined everything about Jungle Book.
Rudyard Kipling. Yeah. You can't author The White Man's Burden and have your name or anything you make not be like, ugh.
Well, a lot of this was, anyway, I won't go into it, but it's kind of ruined it for me. But if it had not been ruined by racism education, I might. It's not like I'm bemoaning the fact that it was. It's thinking about like Jungle Book as in like the Disney's Jungle Book, like that's fun.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. Learning about colonialism, very important to do, I think. Also takes a little bit of the fun out of classic anything.
Yeah.
Once you realize, oh god. Oh man. Jala, what does Tom say?
Tom says, okay, so I'm going to be esoteric, but adapt the Oz books as an Earthbound style RPG. There's a legion of weird little guys over dozens of books. There easily could be amazing things done with them. If I'm being completely honest, the books already do have a bit of that flavor already. There's a town where everyone is made out of ceramics and gets very frustrated if someone is clumsy. Other times you get a talking pumpkin that joins the party to go on a quest. Things are all well and good until you find either the witch with an eye that telescopes out of her head or a princess who collects severed heads for cosmetic purposes. You could give an entire new generation a comfort game only to give them surprise trauma at the same time.
I
legit.
I have never read the later Oz books, but I am enamored of the weird details that are pulled from that, and anything that could that could go against and complicate the 1939 Hollywood version would be neat. Yeah. Gwillem writes, The Man Who Was Thursday, an 0451 game. That'd be good.
So I feel like some of the background 0451, those are the Deus Ex type games.
Yeah. Immersive sim would be another way, or Vent Crawler. Yeah.
Because Man That Was Thursday, Who Was Thursday was extensively referenced in Deus Ex.
I mean, yeah. But, to a certain extent. Also, I mean, Man Who Was Thursday, it's like a foundational, like it's that kind of like sinister like spy story that acts as like a foundation for other conspiratorial text. Yeah.
Also, though, that's actually one of the big influences behind like the Sunless Skies and Sunless Seas, all of those books.
I could see it.
So that might be something to check out.
Yeah. Let's see. David, what does Rookie say?
Rookie says, Don Quixote has so much gaming potential. You can play it straight and make a medieval Souls-like, where the more your main character's sanity slips, the bigger and deadlier the enemies become. Taking your medicine temporarily returns you to safety, and each biome could be themed after a different mental illness. Depression is how you get a Blight Town. Anxiety causes a Sen's Fortress. And Honor Orlando is manic depression. Tagline, sanity is my hub world. Or you could have some fun with it and make an asymmetrical Muso game where player 1, Quixote, goes through stages just demolishing tons of other knights and monsters and such, with the occasional boss fight. Player 2, Sancho, is playing a management game where he designs encounters for Quixote to play through by getting local children to play fight the crazy old man in the park. Kind of like a real-time Mario Maker. Bosses are adults. Dulcinea is someone recording this nonsense on her smartphone to send to World Star. I don't know what World Star is. And the dragons are, of course, windmills.
World Star Hip Hop is it's like a website and blog. Famously, people would just like take photos of they post photos of like fights, just scuffles that happen out. And people often shout World Star as they're taking the cell phone videos. So it'll get featured on there if they send it in. So it's like just a fun lowbrow thing. If you want to, at least at one point, if you wanted to watch street fights.
Oh, that must be where most of those videos come from.
Yeah.
Eli says,
What?
in lieu of just asking for another Sherlock Holmes game, I think Frictional's The Island of Dr. Monroe would slap.
Ooh, that would be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jala, what does Ollie say?
Ollie says, I would love a game based on Journey to the Center of the Earth. Science, dinosaurs, sign me up.
I feel like Jules Verne has been filtered through so many other things, and we've not gotten like a direct. I mean, outside
Jules
of
Verne, anything, yeah,
like outside of like 80 Days or something like that. But like, some of the more fantastical stuff, like. No, I don't want like a bank shot like two levels removed from Jules Verne. Like I want that cool stuff. I want to go to the damn moon.
So this ties into my answer, which is I just want another Subnautica game. So
1,000 Leagues Under the Sea?
20,000 Leagues. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I mean, you got to start somewhere.
20 is where you start in the beginning of the game, and you get to 20,000 Leagues. Yeah.
Nice. I like it. Just I want more of this thing. Here's how we're going to conspire to make it happen. Yeah. David, how about you?
So I think I would like to see a Lovecraft game that focused on the dream cycle instead of the Cthulhu mythos.
Oh yeah.
Which grad is probably most of Dark Souls, but
I mean Bloodborne to a certain extent. But there's also the Cthulhu mythos stuff in there. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. No, just you've got a pet. You can keep a cat of Ulthar.
Yeah, and I feel like there's so many, like that one. The characters travel a lot more than most of his stories that are just set in Arkham, and so you could definitely have like either an open world or an overworld or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jala, how about you?
My answer is kind of niche. So Phantom of the Opera, but based using the Phantom novel by Susan Kay, which is considered to be quote unquote canon for, Phantom fans, even though it was not written by Gaston Leroux. So anyway, that book details Eric's past before he ends up in the opera house. So it's like from his birth through how he learned all the stuff that he knows how to do to he lands in the opera house and how that came about. So this game that I think about would be a horror style detective game where you play the Persian, the detective who was tracking Eric from the Punjab all the way to Paris, where he found the Phantom, and pops up at the very end of LaRoe's book, like, hey, by the way, I know everything about the Phantom. Here's all this information about him. He can do everything. And
did you just say the main character of Three Houses?
Yes, exactly.
It's weird that he would appear there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's my story. I would pick like this weird part of the Phantom canon or whatever that is not the thing everybody knows.
Yeah.
And focus on that and talk about that.
I realized I haven't gone. My answer for this would be like, so I've got two, one that I always give and one that is just kind of predictable. So I don't know, I'm boring. I've been doing this for too long. People know me. No, I've always said that, the story of David would be an amazing action RPG.
Congrats, David.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I feel like another one in that vein would be Judges would also be awesome.
Yeah, get Samuel up there. Well, I mean, just the King David story starts in Samuel too, or
Right,
yeah. I mean, and Samuel's at the end of Judges. Yeah, but yeah, no, I just like to do like an Assassin's Creed style thing, like even where you're kind of like setting up and taking over towns and stuff like that, spreading influence. I think that'd be really neat. And similar to yours, David, I would like a King in Yellow thing from Robert W. Chambers, but like not done through Lovecraft. Actually, like going back to the Chambers work and not the way it was kind of laundered in by August Derleth. But like do it almost like a city builder, where you're doing like a management, like sending your agents out, like and establishing your courts. And like a neat part would be you're managing both Carcosa and the real world, quote unquote. And as you spread influence, like you are trying to infiltrate and corrupt the real world with Carcosa. So the evil things can happen and the King in Yellow can rule. Yeah. So being able to switch back and forth between those two planes would rule to me. Yeah. So good question.
Fun answers. Yeah.
Yeah. Fun stuff to think about.
Something else that I think's public domain that would be a lot of fun is Zatoichi.
What's that?
Yeah, that would be fun. I don't know if it is because like they've still produced movies fairly recently. So not sure.
He's basically a blind samurai who uses a reverse grip sword, and so like he's one of the really famous like samurai movie characters.
Yeah.
But he's kind of he's simultaneously like an action hero, a big comedy character, and then a tragic character.
Former Yakuza, he's like his undercover, cover, or his cover is that he's like a masseur. And so he goes around giving like Yakuza massages and stuff and learns what they're up to and then foils their plans and stuff and helps villages and stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, and like one of the other kind of cool things about it, just from being a different story, is, he's a very, like I said, comedic, kind of lighthearted, character, almost like like a Trigun type of, character. But then a lot of times his like how he ends up dealing with the Yakuza is just super, super ruthless. Where it's like, just harmlessly figure out, all about these guys, and then just trick them into murdering each other.
Well, and then too, like my two favorite movies for the Zatoichi stuff are Zatoichi meets the One-Armed Swordsman, who had his own series back in the day, and then also Zatoichi meets Yojimbo. Both of those two movies are hilarious. Hilarious. They're both good.
Yeah, Zatoichi movies, the first one came out in 1962. The last one that they made was in 89.
Because I think he passed on. The actor passed on, but then they've made like remakes and stuff. There have been other people that have done Zatoichi movies since.
Yeah, the only video game content I can see for Zatoichi, and this is clever. I like this. There's a character in Guilty Gear, who's
Zato One,
which is very clever. I like that.
Yeah.
Nice. I had no idea about Zatoichi. and I'm happy
it's
to.
super good. It's super fun. I think you would probably like, in particular, Zatoichi Mitsuyo Jimbo.
Yeah.
Watch
that
if
one is.
if you ever
really good.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you ever have time, watch that one. It's very fun.
I'm familiar with Yojimbo, at least the broad strokes of that character. So
Yeah, and that's as a side note, if you like any of that, Yojimbo is also really good stuff.
yeah, nice. Cool. Well, I'm sorry. Dottie is sitting over top of my mouse, and she is biting me. She's gnawing on my on my index finger. Thank you, Aaron. I believe it was for suggesting that question.
Aaron S.
Yeah, and thank you, Jala, for posting it. Good.
Yeah, while you speak calmly and scream on the inside.
And it's play bites. She never actually serious bites me, no matter how much she growls. Yeah, but it just she's not letting me use my mouse to focus on the logic window to put the marker down to end the segment. So I think we're going to be here forever. No, we're not. If you would like to participate in these, go to facebook.com/thelevelpodcast and watch for the prompts to go up on Monday afternoon. Thank you, everybody who wrote in, and thank you, Jala, for posting it.
Aaron.
And thank you, Aaron. Yes.
The end boss.
Now it is time for the End Boss, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games around us that are exciting to us. Jala, you've got the first story here. What's happening in the crossover world of music and games?
Well, Outkast is celebrating the 25th anniversary of their album Atlians with the launch of an online arcade game dodging aliens at thegame.outkast.com.
Cool.
Using Spotify or Apple Music login, or you can also play it without having their music playing in the background while you're playing the game. But the thing is, like, it's playing the music, so that's why that's got a login thing.
It's hard to believe that is 25 years old.
I know, right?
Yeah.
How old am I? Oh God. Anyway, no, I don't have age stuff. I don't give a shit. Anyway, so Soulja Boy, though, as usual, is saying a lot of nonsense, and he says he's going to release a game similar to Def Jam Vendetta in January of 2022. Of course, he also said he was the new CEO of Atari in August, which, of course, Atari was like, fuck no, and that was the end of that.
Excuse me, sir.
I don't, yeah.
Mr. Boy?
Yeah, didn't he say, I reported on him saying some other crap where he was like, I'm going to create a whole new system. He was even taking orders for it on his website. He was game system. I don't even know what happened to that either. Same bullshit, I guess.
Yeah, he was basically selling like set top and like handheld Android devices.
Raspberry Pi things?
Yeah. Just like almost like off-brand, like more janky Ouyas, which were very clearly just bought in bulk off of Alibaba and rebadged for Soulja Boy. Yeah.
At least he actually sent something to the people who bought stuff.
True.
God. All right. Anyway, that's all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wish him luck. I hope he makes something good because I want more good games to exist. I am not. I'm not holding my breath though. I've got one that's going to be just real quick. We've been waiting for a while for Disco Elysium, a beautiful and just heartbreaking game. One of my favorite games, just appreciates in my mind. The more I think about it, the longer it's been since I played. They put out the final cut, the director's cut version of it for a bunch of systems earlier this year. They said, hey, it's coming to the Switch, and then nothing, and then nothing. And then now we have an announcement. Disco Elysium is coming to the Switch on October 12th with all of the final cut extra content stuff included. Yay. So I know that there were a lot of people saying like, yeah, this is the kind of game I want to play, but I would prefer to play it on the Switch because of portability, etc. You have less than 2 weeks to wait. And I encourage you to play it as soon as possible because, as I have said, it is beautiful. It is a remarkable game. Remarkable work of fiction and also a remarkable game. So, yeah, a thing is happening.
Yay!
Ben, what's
I got a thing is happening story.
Yeah, what's this nonsense with a Mario movie?
I just liked a clip to somebody laughing at the announcement of the actors in the. It's a live action Mario movie, correct? Or
No,
is
it's CG. Yeah,
it's just voice then. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it seems like I think we talked about this on one of your streams earlier in the week too.
Yeah,
It seems like
yeah.
they're kind of going like the cash grab route where they're like, this is going to be a blockbuster, so we're just going to hire actors who are in blockbusters
Yeah.
and we'll let it, sell itself. And so it's like Chris Pratt is Mario, Jack Black is Bowser,
Yep.
Seth Rogen is Donkey Kong, like for
Yeah.
some reason. Like what?
How you can cast Charlie Day as Luigi, which is a very good casting choice. But how you can cast Charlie Day as Luigi without having Mario be Danny DeVito, that is, I mean, it's beyond the pale. Nobody with a soul made that decision.
I mean, personally, I think Danny DeVito should have every.
Oh yeah, every role.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not pulling some like, oh, Danny DeVito should be Detective Pikachu or whatever. No, it's just like if you're gonna have Charlie Day, DeVito comes as a package deal with him. Come on.
So anyway, that's the disappointing movie news. The heartening movie news is there's a movie, I didn't link this yet, but there's a new Paul Thomas Anderson movie coming out, and the trailer just released yesterday called Licorice Pizza.
Yeah.
And that looks sweet.
It stars Philip Seymour Hoffman's son, right?
It does.
Yeah. God, when I think about, I get angry sometimes thinking about what we lost with Philip Seymour Hoffman dying tragically
it's
the way
a tough
he did.
one, right?
It really is. Like he is just I don't know. I get sad about it. I get angry at heroin, and I'm already pretty angry at heroin. So, ugh. But I haven't seen the trailer. Does it look good? The Licorice Pizza?
Does.
Yeah,
It's like one of those things where it's like every shot, it's like, man, that looks awesome. I want to see that now.
yeah. Nice.
Bradley Cooper's in it. Benny Safdie's in it.
Yeah. Bradley Cooper. He's like all the headlines that I saw were about him. Yeah. Just that apparently he has entertaining snippets in the trailer.
There is a scene with him with two hammers knocking glass and mirrors off of a car. So.
Wow, Dottie has not moved. She just keeps on gnawing on my hand. I'm just trying to. Normally this will work. I just have to make her feel like she's surrounded. So I just hit her from both sides with little tickles. Get her all worked up. No, she's just no. That just made her angry. I've got a very agitated cat.
Now she's biting harder.
Yeah. She's got a gun now. David, you got a story?
It would escalate.
David, you got a story?
Nope.
Attaboy. How do y'all feel about bundling it up?
Buttons.
The credit.
Thank you so much for listening to this level number 387, I believe. It's been a good time. You know how to support the network, support the show. Go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. Go to facebook.com/The Level Podcast to get the multiplayer questions. We always like seeing those responses, and we especially like when we see new names there. You can tell your friends. You can leave ratings or reviews in iTunes or whichever podcast directory you so choose to use. That actually really does help us out. We don't talk about that enough. But most of all, you can come back next week and tell your friends. Is there anything I'm forgetting here?
No.
Okay. Well, I've been Kole Ross. You can see me on Twitch, Duckfeed.tv.
I'm David Maismith. Maybe you'll find me somewhere.
As a cat.
As a cat.
Indeed. I am forever Jala-chan in places.
I've been Ben Merkel.
And stick around for some titles.
Easter egg.
Okay, Dottie's gone away. Oof.
How much is left of your hand?
She didn't break skin. She knows better than to do that. So
On that note, my title is Scream on the Inside.
okay, I have 12 tens. Yeah. Ben, what do you have?
I have Sexy Terminator. I use that port ... for lightning.
Okay.
And I have trick them into murdering each other.
Okay.
So I have blog and professor level, which I realize it's just a term in the game, so I don't know if we can use it, but I just love the idea of that.
There's it's actually more technically, although they refer to it as a professor level, it's a grade because like I'm currently C. So
Yeah. Yeah, so we don't have any doubles here. Do we have anybody who wants to make an impassioned plea?
Dottie's got a gun. Done.
Okay. Okay.
Dottie's got a gun.
Okay, Dottie's got a gun. There we are.
Got it.
Cool. Got to know one.
Let's go.
All right.
Have a wonderful week.
Yeah.
folks.
Take care, everybody. Have a good night.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Good night.